Ladies and gentlemen, and those of you who know me and socialize with me well, know that I am a huge James Bond fan. I've stayed abreast of all of the novels, including those written by a modern day authors, one just a year ago. The movies, obviously, paraphernalia, collectibles, whatever. And also, as most of you know, I dreaded when Daniel Craig was named as the new James Bond. Frankly, and I have to tell you this before I begin my review, he is the worst actor to play the part of James Bond ever. Now, some will point to George Lazenby and say, he only lasted one movie. But I got to tell you, I would watch that one movie that George made before I would watch this movie again. Now, we can be glad of one thing, and that is that this is definitely going to be Daniel Craig's swan song as Bond. So let's stand up and cheer that we won't have to deal with him playing this character anymore. Unfortunately, this is also one of the worst Bond movies I've ever seen. I didn't think anything could get worse than Moonraker, but this one does. Cinematic class is about to begin. Your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, and other sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies. And the truth is that No Time to Die is really bad. It truly, truly is. One of the things I've always had against Daniel Craig, and perhaps it's not his acting, perhaps it's just the way his scripts were written, is that a lot of the characteristics that were infused into the Bond character through the novelizations and even through the actors who've played him previously, Craig eliminated all of those. The only thing they seemed to keep was the fact that he could drink a lot. Okay, other than that, a lot of those other characteristics simply weren't there, and that's kind of a shame. This story opens when James Bond is retired. All right, he's living off the grid somewhere, and of course, things go drastically wrong when a madman decides to use a bioweapon against mankind. It's no coincidence that there are a lot of parallels between this bioweapon in the movie and what is currently happening in our news headlines with the Wuhan virus. Of course, this virus in the movie is much more deadly. That may be a little bit too cliched, too. I mean, how many movies do we have to sit through where it's a virus or it's a bioweapon that's the main culprit here? Look, this whole idea of having a deadly virus and spreading it through mankind probably reached its apex in John Woo's Mission Impossible 2. That was with Tom Cruise and Thandie Newton. That movie covered it about the best, and I think after that, it should have just died a slow death, never to be resurrected again. But of course, that's not the case. So when things go wrong, and I mean very wrong, MI6 naturally tries to track down James Bond. He can save the day, of course. No one else can. So they try to pull him out of retirement. And of course, keeping with the very PC mode that dominated the Daniel Craig era of Bond, since he retired, his 00 number has been given to a new agent. And of course, this agent, keeping with the PC, is a black woman. Right, that's going to go over. Craig as Bond really transformed the character if you look back on all of his movies. He was never really the womanizer that the Bond character calls for. But like I said before, they do like to highlight the fact that he drinks an awful lot, and his alcoholism seems to be his Achilles heel in the Craig era. Now, one of the big things I had a problem with in this, one thing I will say about Daniel Craig, in the first movie he made as Bond, pardon me, he managed to pull in Eva Green, as Vesper. Oh my God, this woman is simply beautiful and, talented as well. So that was the highlight of the entire movie for me, was watching Eva Green. In this one, they not only give him a girlfriend, but they're going to give him a family. And, I'm sure the actress is a very nice person, and she does a fine job in the movie. But ladies and gentlemen, she is no Eva Green. Not even close. In the beginning of the Bond movies where the circle comes across to show you how PC Bond has gotten now under Daniel Craig, you remember the da-da-da-da-da, and then Bond would beat the machine. He was one of the few agents who did. And then the circle would slowly fall down and drop, and then you would see blood. That's gone. Yeah. You don't see the person dying. You don't see the machine dying. And they got rid of the blood as well. So even Bond on the quick draw machine is a totally different creature here.
We have two brand new agents in this film who are allies to James Bond.
The world's moved on, Commander Bond.
You were 00?
2 years. Nomi is highly skilled, slightly cocky. You get in my way, I will put a bullet in your knee. The one that works.
There's a young lady in Santiago I want you to meet. Paloma?
You're late. Paloma is a Cuban agent. She's intense. I had many action scenes. Thank God I had an amazing stunts team.
They put me through true military training.
I really wanted to get it right and look like I knew what I was doing.
No Time to Die represents change. We see so many different examples of women being strong in this movie. And being badasses at that.
You ever flown one of these?
Nope.
Alrighty, let me give you the names of some of the people involved in this movie and tell you a little bit about them. First off, a lot of the familiars are back. Of course, Daniel Craig is back as James Bond. Also coming back is Christoph Waltz as Ernst Stavro Blofeld. Naomi Harris comes back as Moneypenny. Rory Kinnear comes back as Tanner. Jeffrey Wright comes back as Felix Leiter. And Ralph Fiennes comes back as M. All good, solid characters. We have the new 007 is Nomi, and she is played by Lashana Lynch. Folks, let me tell you, Lashana is not up to pick up this mantle and carry it through. The torch has not been passed. This girl did not show anything on screen to indicate that anybody would follow her as the new 007. Simply not going to happen. Daniel Craig is looking a bit long in the tooth, and there are a lot of action sequences where you can see it's not him. It's his stunt double. Roger Moore was able to pull this off with aplomb because Roger Moore's version of Bond was over the top anyway. But when it works with Craig, it doesn't. Okay? Behind the scenes, this movie was directed by Cary Fukunaga. Now, I've talked about Cary an awful lot. I think he is one of the best cinematographers in Hollywood, and as I have always said in my maxims, the best directors first start out as cinematographers. There's just, they have that eye where they can see through the lens and they make better movies. Folks, this is no exception. Cary has done an awfully great job visually with this movie. I mean, as far as looks are concerned, No Time to Die is stunning. It is very visually pleasing. Also on this is writer Neil Purvis. He's a seasoned vet, which is why I can't understand how this script went so wrong. For example, it lacks the normal snarky humor that is a trademark with Bond. They try to throw a few in at the end, but by then it's way too late. This is constantly pushing the PC agenda by, having a bunch of minorities come out of the place where, wow, where did these people come from? And they've got to promote the progressive mantra of the single family unit. Nah, not in a Bond film. Our director of photography is Linus Sandgren, and our editor, two of them on this, and I never like when there's more than one. Pardon me, Tom Cross and Elliot Graham. For the most part, they put this movie together okay, but there is a sequence going right after the boat sequence where the transition is just terrible.
His name is Safin.
And what does he want?
Revenge.
What I really wanted from Safin was to make him unsettling, thinking of himself as being heroic.
I'm a man willing to kill the person you love most. I've already lost everyone I've ever loved.
What he wants and what he's willing to do makes him a very frightening character, both personally to Bond, but also on a global level.
We both eradicate people to make the world a better place. I just want to be a little tidier.
Safin is a formidable adversary. James Bond has to adapt to that.
What is it?
You don't know what this is. He's going to kill millions.
If we don't do this, there will be nothing left to save.
I've made you redundant.
No. Not as long as there are people like you in the world.
Okay, folks, here it is in a nutshell. Just like George Clooney killed Batman, Daniel Craig has killed James Bond. Now, we're going to call this a bit of a spoiler alert, okay? So, morning coffee, and if you haven't seen the movie, you may want to end my review here and know that I didn't like it, okay? But here you go. Here's one of the big things. Every other actor who played James Bond, when their time was up, they simply bowed out. The new actor came in. There was much anticipation as to how the new actor would play Bond, and everybody looked forward to that. Daniel Craig can't do that, okay? When he leaves Bond, the character is completely dead. And I mean that in a literal sense. You remember when you were a little kid, you used to have this tablet, and you could draw a picture on this tablet. And when you were done, you would grab the corner, rip it up, and put it down, and everything would disappear, and you would have a fresh tablet again on which to draw. That's exactly what No Time to Die does. All of the main characters that make up the Bond mythos are killed off. All right? I won't tell you how and the ending and all that, but know that they're not there. So what Craig effectively did was he killed off the character, the goose that laid the golden egg. And the most ironic thing about it, at the end of the credits, they flash up on the screen, James Bond will return. Not according to this movie, folks. Nuh-uh, ain't going to happen. So, I'm sorry, but I just bust out laughing during the press screening when they flashed up that graphic, because they literally destroyed the franchise and the final reels of this movie. And to try to give you some semblance of what Bond should be like, you'll notice Sean Connery over my shoulder in the back there. Yeah, there was nobody better. He must be rolling in his grave to see what Daniel Craig did to this thing. Look, this Bond is a joke. The good thing to say about it, is that at least we will not have to suffer through Daniel Craig anymore. I'm sure a lot of people are going to run to the theaters to see this and see what it's all about. But I'll bet you a whole lot of them don't bother watching this again. Excrement on celluloid. We are going to be happy that Craig is gone, but we are going to fail this movie. And now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson.
The past isn't dead.
James, fate draws us back together. Now your enemy is my enemy.
His name is Safin.
And what does he want?
Revenge. Me.
When her secret finds its way out, it'll be the death of you.
You can imagine why I've come back to play.
There's a young lady in Santiago I want you to meet.
You're late.
When you're ready. Salute.
I met your new 00. She's a disarming young woman.
I get why you shot him.
Yeah, well, everyone tries at least once.
James Bond. We both eradicate people to make the world a better place. I just want to be a little tidier.
Come on, Bond. Where the hell are you?
Have you ever flown one of these?
Nope.
Harder to tell the good from bad, villains from heroes these days.
What is it?
You don't know what this is. He's going to kill millions.
If we don't do this, there will be nothing left to save.